Hi, everyone. Welcome to this month's April 2025 energy update. I am Galactic Ashley. I'm a channel. I specialize in trauma informed integration support for ayahuasca, master plant dietas, wachuma, kambo, and cacao. I am a spiritual guide helping others forge meaningful connections with the divine. My greatest joy is supporting seekers ready to commit to their journey of healing and growth and desire to live their unique path. I offer this through entheogenic and spiritual integration coaching, channeling, and light language mentorship, telepathy support for parents, biannual courses, and personalized one-on-one channeled sessions. You can find out more about me at galacticashley.com. Additionally, we are also on patreon.com/galacticashley. This is where there will be the deep dives where every month we go deeper into specific themes that come through the energy monthly updates. I would also like to say that the last day to register for my light language activation and healing program is April 2nd, 2025. Yeah, okay. So, something to note is that I often reference the beings when I am speaking. The energies I work with and have spent my life cultivating an intimate relationship with are facets of the divine. These include the dragon consciousness, my ascended ancestors, the plant medicine consciousness, crystal consciousness, and the star beings. Most of the time, this is sufficient. If a specific energy chooses to reveal itself, it will. For the most part, referring to them simply as the beings is enough. Personally, I often use the term God, but you are free to interpret it in a way that resonates with you, whether that's the universe, source, or the divine. So we're just going to do a brief opening. You can go ahead and listen to this at any point in time, however you choose to listen to it. But I'm just going to invite everyone to take a deep breath with us. We're going to invite in the ultraviolet dragon beings to draw a flaming circle of light around us. And as such, we are calling in each and every one of our soul's guidance system to sit with you wherever you are, and mine to sit with me in this moment. And as we do this, we're also going to invite in the Syrian energies, the feline beings, and the Carnelian consciousness, the plant medicine consciousness that is supporting the lion's ears plant energies that came through, as well of the sons and daughters of the flame eternal and the rest of the beings that help to facilitate and support and bring through the energy that we are transmitting today. And with that, we say welcome, 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 and thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you, we love you, we love you. And we'll just do a little bit of some light language energy. Okay. Hangori do Dear Kurungururu Do Hungori So we just say welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we love you, we love you, we love you. So let's get started. We are currently living through a time when the earth really is communicating and speaking in solar frequencies, these solar fire energies. These are the energies that are pulsing, that are deeply transformative, that we can feel. Sorry, my nose itches, my face itches, and I'm not going to edit around this. This is the energies come in a lot just through my face. So it just is That's what it is. Okay. So these energies are pulsing, moving through our bodies, moving through our beings. And as we emerge from the intense portals of the recent eclipses and step into a quieter, really grain of salt with the quieter, but these more integrative phases, we would like to remind you that balance is not a destination. It is a process and it's an ongoing practice, one that deserves devotion, that deserves respect and humility and honor. Because it is through early April, maybe longer, that we'll continue to absorb these shifting energies. March was a really big month and it will continue in this way. So, integration isn't something you can rush, it's deliberate, it's patient. Some days it might feel like a flood, and other days a slow, steady drip. Let it flow through you even when it feels harsh. Trust that this is a necessary unfolding. This is a time of eruption, not quiet creation, but volcanic emergence. We are not erupting yet, but we are emergent. These internal upheavals, your emotions, your thoughts, the energies rattling inside you, are not here to undo you, yet you might feel yourself becoming undone, and this is okay, and this is part of the natural process that is happening. It's beneficial to see them for what they are, the raw molten forces of transformation. Creation, destruction, renewal, they are all bound together and we know them so well. Just as the volcanic islands are born and reshaped by the Earth's molten core. If you've ever stood near a volcano, a sleeping one or an active one, you felt this energy. In fact, you are encouraged to visit your nearby volcanoes, whether they are dormant or not, if you have this accessible to you, because volcanoes are arteries of the planet, conduits connecting the depths below to the surface above. And when we can physically start to integrate or feel them, to connect to the apus or the mountains, these sacred earth's blood, the sacred heart blood that is really moving through our bodies, they begin to remind us that change is not a rupture, but a sacred life giving process. The impression that I have is that these volcanic energies are going to be with us for some time. Like, this is not just got to get through the next 30 days. This is going to keep going. And it's because right now the solar and sacral energies are surging. They are calling us to weave the higher solar, lighter frequencies of inspiration with the deep, transformative sacral power of death and rebirth. It's a courageous journey to say the least. And here's the thing about courage, and this is really important and is going to be weaving through the entirety of this transmission, is courage, courage, courage. And courage is not solitary. It's not about towering strength. It's about leaning into the collective. Leaning into the collective, leaning into the collective, leaning into community, drawing power from the people, the connections that hold us up, the connections that support us. Look to the lions for guidance. The lion's strength isn't an individual feat, it's found in the pride, it's the collective unity of its community. This is the lesson of the lion. The sacred lion knows that true power is rooted in togetherness. What the feline beings always say when they come in with the soul stars open with this like really magenta energy, is they say it is all about the courage of the pride. And this is so important. And if you can just kind of feel into that energy and tune into the courage of the pride. The first ally this month that is coming in is the lion's ear. It is our sacred plant ally for the month. It carries with it the wisdom of strength, protection, and resilience. The lion's ear plant has spiritual and protective properties. It inspires simplicity, mindfulness, and environmental consciousness in lifestyles. And pair it with our really big player of the month, which is Carnelian. And it is that fiery stone of creativity. And you'll feel yourself anchored, steady, even amidst the swirl of transformation. So, these tools, plants, stones, and even the people around us are gifts for navigating this moment of upheaval. And the messages, the impressions have been so clear. Yes, courage, 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 community, balance, and leadership. These are the key words for the month. These are the essentials we're being called to embody as everything shifts around us. This is what April is bringing our attention to. Yeah, so it's a lot already. And there's more. But courage isn't about standing alone, is it? Mm-mm. True strength comes from knowing you are upheld by your lion's pride, your chosen family, your community. That's the kind of courage we're being asked to cultivate now, the courage of connection. This is really the abundance that we can lean into, is to find your people, stay with your people, and this is in fact currency. Our courage and our community is our greatest currency that we can have right now. Because our deepest power, our greatest resilience comes from our bonds with ourselves, with one another, and with the living, breathing, more than human world around us. And let's be honest, community isn't always easy. It's not about labeling those outside your circle as wrong or bad. It's about tending to the kinship and the unique bonds within the groups that you belong to. And if you're struggling to find a sense of belonging, that's okay, because community takes so many forms. It's not just human relationships, it's also your connections to the natural world, to animals, to plants, to stones. Belonging might show up in therapy, in a class, in a quiet moment of communion with the earth, or in a one on one communication with your friend over tea. When we feel isolated or powerless, it's so much harder to step into uncomfortable spaces where injustices are happening. But when we're held by a community, when we feel connected, we find the strength to act. Together, we become braver, we become more resilient, and better able to face what needs to change. For some, this is a time of rediscovering community. But let's not ignore the wounds we carry here, because many of us have felt excluded, ostracized, or misunderstood in the past. Many of the people I work with, whether through my courses or one on one, come to me carrying deep wounds from their communities. They've been hurt by leaders who failed to hold healthy boundaries and by the painful exclusion of cliques forming within those spaces. Essentially, trust within the fabric of the community has been broken. And if that's you, I want to say trust yourself. Practice discernment as you step back into communal spaces. Finding the right community is a process, and it's okay to take your time. Pay attention to the structures, the leadership, and the unspoken core values of the group. The energy of a community, its dynamic, its spirit, flows from its foundation. So it's worth understanding the roots as you interact with the community. Essentially, know the matrix that the community operates in. Take some time to reflect on the communities you're part of. Are they healthy? Do they feel aligned with who you are becoming? If an invitation to join a group, an event, or a project feels uncomfortable or misaligned, trust that. It's okay to step back or change your mind. For example, maybe you're in a workplace situation that feels stifling and you can't just leave because it's your workplace. Ask yourself, what lessons are these relationships offering you? Often our coworkers echo unresolved family dynamics, pushing us to confront and heal our own wounds. Community offers, even in its recklessness, some opportunities to really look at family dynamics. And as you begin to enter into these spaces, trust your instincts, honor your boundaries. This is a time of deep transformation, both within yourself and in your relationships and within the community. So be discerning. Align with the energies and connections that truly nourish you. If you're unsure, listen to your body. Does it light up with joy when you're in a certain group? Does it feel expansive or does it contract? Communities often take on the shape of families, and within these spaces, we're reminded of the primal wound of separation, the illusion that we're disconnected from source, from one another, and let's not perpetuate that wound. For those of you who are community leaders, this is the work of community. It's messy, it's beautiful, and alive with the dance of connection, boundaries, and belonging. Remember, you are not alone in this, even though being a community leader can feel quite isolating and really lonely. It's important to trust your path, honor your instincts, and lean into the connections that nourish your soul. Find ways for you to take care of yourself, because this is a time of courage and transformation, of finding your pride, for all of us to be walking together. And we need leaders that can hold the pride together. But as we navigate this shared space, boundaries matter. And sometimes someone's behavior may harm others, and a step back, a time out, if you will, might be necessary. And this isn't about casting anyone out, but about holding space for recalibration. Compassion and collective well being can coexist. When they're ready, they can rejoin, integrating back into the circle with renewed balance. This is how we hold the needs of the group alongside the humanity of the individual. Our community and our community members will thank us, or they won't. This month, I invite you to look closely at your communities, the ones you lead, belong to, or are even considering joining. Whether it's a Sunday brunch group or a larger organization or your family unit, ask yourself, do these spaces reflect my values? If you feel a sense of disconnection, take a moment to pause and reflect. Are you here to grow within this group, or is it time to let go? Staying is only worthwhile if you can show up fully as yourself, as you are in the moment, and feel safe to do so. Think about the health of the communities around you. Some groups, unfortunately, are deeply unwell, and joining them can be more harmful than helpful. If you decide to step away, expect shifts. New people may come into your life while others may go, and it can again feel isolating, but just hang in there. If you're a leader or dreaming of creating a new space, this is your chance to build something intentional, something rooted in clear values. Think about the structure. What defines and supports this space? Is there a hierarchy? If so, does it serve the group in a healthy way? As we witness old systems unravel and global tensions rise, new forms of community are emerging. In fact, new forms of community are necessary and they are needed. These are not reactive groups fighting against what they dislike, but proactive spaces creating solutions, offering something better. This is what we need right now. They prioritize making a positive impact on their members and on the world without causing harm. The focus needs to be on solutions. Where can you find them? Where do you have the energy to take action? What are you equipped to face, and what illusions need to be released? These questions call for deep introspection and clarity. How can you show up as your most authentic, most beautiful self? By beauty, we don't mean superficial aesthetics. We mean the kind of energy that radiates transformation, that inspires change. Right now, many of us are being called back to our roots, literally. Hence the embodiment message from the ancestors last month. The foundation of our lives need attention. Your sacral and root energies, your physical and emotional structures, the things that hold you up and support you in the world. Because as old systems crumble, you may feel the need to rebuild or adjust, creating something sturdier, something more aligned with who you are now. Even our bodies remind us of this grounding, the parts of us that connect to the earth, our legs, our feet, our toes, our arms, and hands. They hold so much wisdom. And when trauma disrupts our connection to the ground beneath us, which includes our arms, by the way, it often shows up as numbness, vibrations, or discomfort in these areas. This disconnection could stem from this lifetime or from other multidimensional aspects of ourselves, past lives, but it's always a signal that something in our foundation needs care. There are so many reasons we might feel disconnected from our bodies. Maybe it's the lingering effects of medications that no longer serve us. And this is really important right now because as the solar frequencies are coming in, our bodies are taking in more light quotient, more information is coming into our systems. So, whether it's medication that is prescribed from a doctor or whether it is a vitamin that you are using yourself, sometimes during this time, we are really being asked to lessen some of the things and that we are ingesting into our body, which can include vitamins. So maybe it's the lingering effects of medications that no longer serve us, dulling our connection to the earth. It could be unresolved trauma from childhood, something buried deep but still shaping how we move through the world. Or maybe it's tied to a profound life event like giving birth. I mean, that shifts everything. Birth, for instance, can disrupt our root chakra, blow it out even, leaving us ungrounded. But for some, it's the first time they notice how disconnected they've been all along. I've seen this a lot in some of my clients where after giving birth, if there was already a sense of disconnection, the experience of birth can crack that open further. And the opposite, of course, is completely true, where after birth, you can feel absolutely connected, and the act of giving birth grounds us. So, this is just simply an example. But sometimes birth is so overwhelming or even ecstatic that reintegrating into the body feels almost impossible. And this is where something like soul loss can come into play, a feeling of being scattered or unanchored. So, practices like soul retrieval can be helpful here. But really, there are countless reasons why someone might struggle to feel embodied. We've just named a few. And this is where Carnelian, the stone of fire and vitality and life force, can become a powerful ally, really asking us to be alive and to be present. Carnelian carries this volcanic, courageous energy. It's not about reckless or impulsive action, though. It's about action that's rooted in your core values, your deeper alignment. When we act from a place of alignment, our actions become intentional and purposeful, not reactive or fueled by rage. And that's something that we talked about recently for those of you who joined me on Patreon. How we understand our core values helps us move through the world in a way that feels sustainable and not depleting. Carnelian carries the energy of God helps those who help themselves. Sorry. Just so you know, Mayu is snoring in my lap, and that is what the sound is, and it will continue, and that is okay. So, meaning that individuals must take aligned action and put in effort to meet the universe halfway, rather than relying solely on divine intervention or external help. It really emphasizes self reliance and personal responsibility. Since we are in the fire energy right now, let's talk about anger. Because anger, let's be clear, it isn't inherently bad. We like to make it bad. We think we're bad people when we feel mad, and some of us are just outright rage machines, and that's okay too. However, I just want to say that it's often a mask for something deeper, specifically grief, and this is how grief gets trapped in the body is it's often being covered by anger. So sometimes releasing anger is the only way to access that grief and beginning to process it consciously, and over time we can begin to regulate the nervous system. Anger can crack things wide open, bringing a sense of aliveness and clarity. So it's best to do our best not to be afraid of it and to find ways to work with it in a healthy way that doesn't bring harm to you or anyone else. But when anger becomes the core driver of our actions, it's unsustainable. Rage might spark the movement, but it can't fuel the journey. So go ahead and think about how some people carry anger for years towards their parents, their critics, the people who doubted them or hurt them. That anger can push them forward for a while, but over time, it begins to eat away at them. It becomes this constant corrosive presence affecting both emotional, physical, and spiritual health. So, if you find yourself consumed by anger, take a moment, ask yourself, how is this serving me? What am I gaining by holding on to it? Every emotion, whether we label it good or bad, serves a purpose. Anger focuses our attention on something we need to address, but it's up to us to decide what to do with that energy. We can channel it into proving something, into more divisiveness, or we can redirect it, transform it into something that sustains us rather than depletes us. By understanding the roots of our anger, we create space for healing. And let's say this because it feels important. When someone or something, a person, a relationship, an institution is activating this deep, deep rage in you, the instinct is to focus all of your energy onto them, to make them the source of your inability to move forward, to allow that energy to take up so much space in your life. And when you do this, you are feeding the energy and it grows and it grows and it begins to create this infectious ball. And more often than not, it will show up as dis-ease and sickness inside of you. But what would happen if you unhooked from that pattern? Not just the external hooks they've placed in you, but the ones you've placed in them. What if you allowed yourself to unfocus from them as the reason you can't step into your own power? The challenge is to view anger not as a justification for blame, but as an opportunity to heal the parts of ourselves that cling to the narrative of victimhood, and to ask ourselves how victimhood is serving us. The most empowering way to work through anger is to release the need to control or demand accountability from the other person. What are you going to do if someone doesn't want to give it to you? You can't remain unhealed. So instead, we can bring the focus inward, asking, what is this anger trying to teach me about my own boundaries, my sense of self worth, or my unhealed wounds? That's where the real shift begins. That's where you take your energy back, you reclaim it, you call in your sovereignty, and you begin to use it to sustain your own growth, your own healing. By addressing these deeper issues, we transform anger from a destructive force into a catalyst for personal empowerment and spiritual liberation. Vitality, life force. This is about the journey forward, reclaiming and cultivating your own life force and feeling your aliveness. On a larger scale, was feeling during the transmission this collective unsteadiness is connected to the axis mundi, which is the symbolic link between worlds. For too long, the focus has been on top down energy or bottom up, right? We're just talking about this movement. And we've been neglecting the lateral movement that brings balance. This lateral energy, the crossing of the axis mundi, reminds us to align in all the directions, right? This is about the north, the south, the east, the west, the above, and the below. It's about harmony and about integrating into and with every realm that we inhabit. And this integration requires grounding. We cannot transform or grow unless we honor the material world while simultaneously addressing the spiritual and emotional planes. The principle of as above, so below calls us to weave these layers together to create true alignment, because this is how we transmute energy, how we create meaningful change. And by noticing these patterns, by tending to them, we can build our connection to the earth, and in doing so, to ourselves and others. This journey towards stability and connection is deeply personal, but it's also very universal. In fact, the more personal it gets, the more universal it becomes. It's a shared path, one that invites us to grow together, to create spaces of healing, and to craft a world that sustains us all. This plane, this material realm really is calling our attention in these April energies. We cannot just be looking up, we cannot just be looking down. We have to really feel into this like lateral plane and this lateral movement, this middle world. And courage is what we need, and it's always rooted in something deeper. So last month, we explored honesty and truth, and those lessons are still echoing into this month as we move forward. Now that we're in April, we find ourselves navigating the cycles of destruction and rebirth in a time marked by fiery, intense energy. The watery emotional currents of the past haven't left us entirely. They've simply shifted. They've gone deeper, darker, becoming less like a turquoise lagoon and more like the shadowy undercurrents of the underworld. And fire is truly taking center stage now, igniting transformation, but the water is still here, playing a subtler, more hidden role. This is a time when illusions rise to the surface, demanding we discern what's real and what's not. The truth is, clarity doesn't come from flipping a calendar page. It arrives as we grow clearer within ourselves, as we learn to pierce through the layers of the illusion and fantasy. This work isn't quick or easy, it's ongoing. We're being asked to stop deluding ourselves, to peel back the stories we tell and see things as they truly are. But let's be clear here. This doesn't mean magic is gone. It doesn't mean the divine or the miraculous are out of reach. Ordinary reality isn't dull or lifeless. In fact, the extraordinary is always present, humming in the backgrounds of our lives, in the foregrounds of our lives. It is constantly humming in our lives. You don't need a giant retreat or a massive plant medicine ceremony or a big dramatic ritual to feel connected to something greater. The divine really truly lives in the small moments and the way you open your heart, in your willingness to ask, what is my purpose today? Purpose is alive. It's not about your job title or how much money you make. It's about how you choose to show up each and every day. And I invite you to reflect, how can I show up most beautifully today? Not just in the way you look or act, but in the deeper sense of beauty, the kind that resonates in your bones. This is the aesthetic force, the energy that shapes creation. It's not about conventional ideas of beauty. It's about what feels alive, meaningful, and true to you. This force flows through everything we touch, shaping the way we live, create, and connect. Your life is a work of art. You are the work of art. From the way you plant a garden, set a table, or even embrace the messiness of your space reflects your unique creative spirit. Ask yourself, how am I creating art in my life? How am I weaving beauty and intention into the fabric of my days? When we engage with the aesthetic force, we infuse life with meaning, cultivating a sense of alignment with something divine. This is where purpose grows, in the small crevices, in the sacred acts of living. So, how will you create beauty today? How will you shape the world around you into something that feels like home, like how you want the world to be? Creativity isn't about striving for perfection. It's about leaning into the mess, the contradictions, the tension. All of creation comes from tension. Feel the tension. It's about opening yourself up to the raw, untamed process of transformation, and in that, finding a connection to the divine. It's about energy, the kind of energy that cracks open belief systems and unveils new possibilities. The veils are inside of you, they are not outside of you. So, in order for these quote unquote veils to thin, we have to go inside of us and crack open our belief systems, because belief systems are temporary placeholders. We are meant to grow through them so that we can have more clarity, so that we can see differently, so that we can feel differently, so that we can allow the world to move through us differently, so that we can engage in more aliveness. That's the essence of art, is that art unveils new possibilities through rearranging the way in which we perceive things. That's its power. The aesthetic force is not merely about beauty, it's about a power that propels us towards progress and transformation. It is an energy that emerges when we experience art's ability to move us beyond what we know, beyond what we thought we knew, beyond what we think we know. It's constantly urging us to imagine, create, and strive for something greater. This force, which is in everything, has the capacity to inspire awe, foster connection, and ignite a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world. It's a call to engage with the unknown and to harness its potential for change, making art not just a personal experience, but a catalyst for societal evolution. You, as a body of work, as a body of art, are a catalyst for societal evolution. And that doesn't mean that you have to go out into the world in this big, massive way. Societal evolution and the ability to shift paradigms and to create change starts in the smallest of things. It starts in the way in which you live your life, the way in which you engage with the world around you, the way in which you engage with other humans, your family members, your children, your pets, your life, the from the clothes that you decide to wear, everything. It is involved in everything. Historically, this is why art has always been feared by tyrants and oppressive regimes, because art challenges the status quo. You challenge the status quo. Art reshapes perspectives, it inspires change and unearths truth. Art is the aesthetic force, a force that, when channeled, can alter the world. So, how do we hold this energy, this raw, transformative potential, and how do we bring it into being? We are working with and in the realm of the material world, the body, and the lower chakras in our bodies this month. April is about the lower chakras in our bodies this month. This is the root and the sacral. Primarily, this is a sacral chakra month. This is all about sex, sensuality, vitality, and creativity. The sacral chakra is the center of our creative and emotional energy. It governs our capacity for relationships, for intimacy, and the flow of life force itself. So, when we work with the sacral chakra, we must focus on cultivating balance in our emotional lives, honoring our creative impulses, and releasing our attachment to unhealthy patterns. And this is really tricky. This is a really hard energy to work with, particularly depending on what your trauma patterns are. When we are in the sacral, when we are in the root chakra, these are really difficult. And so, like, my heart goes out to those of you that have had massive traumas in your body, that have really disconnected you from your womb, from your yoni, from your lingam. That these are the energies that are really present in the month of April as we are shifting into this really intense period of time. And the importance of forgiveness and of letting go of resentment, as these emotions can disrupt the free flow of energy in the chakra, is really important, both to being able to reconnect with the earth, both being able to reconnect with your body. It's important to remember that love is forgiving. And this just isn't about just going out and being like, oh, this massive trauma happened to me and now I just need to forgive, because then we have some issues with spiritual bypassing. And we did talk about spiritual bypassing last month in the Patreon group. But all of this is really to bring about the power of what Carnelian is supporting us with. So this month is a good time to begin to look at these energies in your body, in the womb, in the yoni, in the lingam, in the way in which you understand what is sexuality. How do you use and work with that power? The consciousness of Carnelian is here with us all month long. This stone pulses with vitality, feeding the creative fire, helping us to unblock these energies that we need to. Carnelian invites transformation and guides us through transitions, supporting personal growth and deep inner work. It's really fascinating to think about its ancient roots, particularly its connection to Egypt, where it was associated with solar energies, lions, and the mystery of life and death. It also has ties to Atlantis and perhaps most prominently Crete. These stones are storytellers. I think they all are, but Carnelian is a storyteller, particularly in this sort of realm that we are in. And we'll explore more about Carnelian stories later this month in the deep dive section of the Patreon community, and how to work with the energies in connection with the sacral chakra, particularly around sexual energies, the womb, and lingam frequencies. So, if you're naturally fiery, this is a time to seek balance by connecting with the cooling qualities of water. As we move into fire season, we're being invited to work with its transformative energy while staying grounded. What's really interesting when I think of April is that April in the Southwest, April in Arizona is always a time. I like to call it snake season. It's when the snakes are out on the trails. And I just want to remind people that we are really in snake energy. I mean, it's the year of the snake, right? So this is very much about belly to the ground, about groundedness and vibrations, and really feeling those energies. So while the heat is up, depending on your constitution, and even if I don't know, maybe some of you might be going through hot flashes or just feeling heat rising in your body, being extra active, not being able to calm down. Cooling foods can help if you're feeling too fiery. While fire's golden, vibrant frequencies can spark movement and motivation if you're sluggish. This is important. So, for those of you that aren't so fiery, it's really good to lean into these energies so that you can have the fire activate any sort of sluggishness and kind of get the transmission sort of engaged. Fire energy is diverse. It can be the gentle warmth of the golden flame, the intensity of the blue flame, or the purification of the ultraviolet flame. These flames, these solar frequencies are all within us. So the message behind this is to remember that fire isn't always red, fire isn't always orange, but that fire has many frequencies that are running through it, in particularly connected to the solar grid system that is really holding this universe together. And there are solar bodies in different galaxies and within different galaxies and sections of the universe where there are other solar energies. It's important to remember that every sun does not act the same, and that we are connected to different solar logos energies, and that the solar logos inside of us is truly being activated. And it's really about just these fire energies. It doesn't matter if you are going into spring right now or if you are going into fall, because it is still the flickering and the fire and the flame that are just so important. Because fire destroys, yes, but it also purifies, creating space for new growth. It's an alchemical process, a kind of crucible for our transformation. So, April is a month of integration, my friends. Things may start to feel steady, maybe towards the end of the month, but this isn't a time to slack off. We're still being called to work with devotion and focus. One of the energies that kind of came up in my mind's eye during this transmission is that this is the energy of the Knight of Pentacles. This is about slow, steady, and disciplined. Discipleship was the word that just came through. Discipleship, disciplined energy. Depending on the seeds you've been planting, you might find yourself standing before a field ready to tend, or one that still needs preparation. Either way, this is a time for effort, commitment, and care. And so to keep going, to keep just trust yourself and keep moving forward. And of course, rest when you need to. This isn't about overworking. This isn't about the shadow side of the Knight of Pentacles. This is just about staying prepared, building structures in your life so that as we move through the Knight of Pentacles, we enter into the queendom and the kingdom of the pentacles, that we move along the path of the pentacles. This comes down to devotion is discipline. It's what keeps us on the path, it's what grounds us in the work. And this month, the energy of Carnelian, so deeply tied to vitality and courage, will be with us. For extra focus and clarity, Vanadinite can also offer support. I am just honoring that presence because it came in and it was like, Vanadinite. And I was like, okay, this is about Carnelian. So Vanadinite is a really beautiful energy, and it can support you with the Carnelian, especially for those of you that really have issues with ADHD and staying focused. Vanadinite is really beautiful with structure and focus. But this is really Carnelian is really the master or mistress of the month. So together, these energies encourage us as we shape the way we show up in the world with our children, with our partners, with our communities, both human and more than human, helping us to create something that really truly matters. What we create should carry weight. Raw, messy, and alive, it should be grounded in inclusivity, in the threads of connection that tie us to the stories of our ancestors, the wisdom of the more than human world, and the intricate web of life around us. When we finally allow ourselves to see each other as whole, chaotic, beautiful, and fully human, something fundamental shifts. We uncover a courage that compels us not just to witness one another, but to stand fiercely for each other, weaving ourselves deeper into the wild and tangled fabric of existence. So, with that, we say thank you to Carnelian, Lion's Ear, the Syrians, the sons and daughters of the flame eternal, as well as to the feline beings, and of course the dragon consciousness, and to each one of your guides that is with you, that is helping to support you during these times. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to comment or to reach out or to get a hold of me. Contact me on galacticashley.com, or again, please consider coming in to do deep dives and to join the community of which I am trying to create over here to hold people that wants to be in togetherness and join the Patreon community. So with that, we say thank you, thank you, thank you, and we love you, we love you, we love you. Bye. Happy April.